Hey everyone, welcome back. Today, we're diving into something that can truly transform the way you learn your mindset. How you think about learning can make all the difference in how successful you are.
That's right, Maya. Whether you're learning a new language, picking up a new skill, or even trying to improve at something you already do, your mindset plays a huge role in your progress.
And there are two main types of mindset people talk about when it comes to learning: fixed mindset and growth mindset.
Exactly. A fixed mindset is when you believe your abilities are set in stone. You're either good at something or you're not. But a growth mindset means believing that with effort, practice, and learning from mistakes, you can improve.
And that shift in thinking changes everything. If you believe you can grow, challenges become opportunities instead of obstacles.
Right. For example, if someone struggles with math and thinks, I'm just bad at numbers, they're stuck in a fixed mindset. But if they say, I haven't mastered this yet, but I can improve with practice, that's a growth mindset at work.
And studies show that people with a growth mindset are more likely to succeed in the long run because they don't give up easily.
Another key part of developing a strong mindset is embracing failure. So many people fear making mistakes, but mistakes are actually how we learn best.
Exactly. Instead of seeing failure as proof that you're not good at something, think of it as feedback. It's just a sign that you need to adjust and try again.
And let's talk about self-talk. The way we talk to ourselves really influences our mindset. If you constantly tell yourself you're not smart enough or capable enough, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's why it's important to replace those negative thoughts with positive, constructive ones. Instead of saying, I'll never be able to do this, try saying, I'm still learning, and every step forward counts.
Absolutely. And surrounding yourself with the right people also helps. If you're around people who encourage you and believe in growth, you'll be more likely to adopt that mindset too.
So true, learning isn't just about talent, it's about effort, persistence, and the belief that you can improve.
And another thing that helps build a strong learning mindset is curiosity. When you approach learning with a sense of curiosity instead of obligation, it becomes more enjoyable.
That's a great point. When you're genuinely curious about something, you naturally want to explore it further. It's not about forcing yourself to learn, it's about wanting to understand more.
And that curiosity leads to deeper learning. Instead of just memorizing facts, you start asking why and how things work, which makes the information stick better.
And speaking of making things stick, another powerful tool is visualization. If you can picture yourself succeeding, your brain starts to believe it's possible.
That's true. Athletes do this all the time. They visualize themselves winning before they even step onto the field. The same principle applies to learning.
Exactly. If you imagine yourself confidently speaking a new language or mastering a skill, your brain starts to align with that vision, making you more motivated to work toward it.
Another technique is breaking big goals into smaller, manageable steps. Instead of saying, I need to become fluent in Spanish, start with, I'll learn 5 new words every day.
Yes, small, consistent progress is what leads to big results over time. And every small win builds confidence, reinforcing the belief that you can improve.
And let's not forget the power of environment. The space you're in, the people around you, and even the way you structure your time can impact how effectively you learn.
Right, if you're surrounded by distractions, it's harder to focus. But if you create an environment that supports learning, like having a dedicated study space, it becomes easier to stay consistent.
That's why habits matter so much. Learning should be a part of your daily routine, just like brushing your teeth. When something becomes a habit, you don't have to rely on motivation, you just do it automatically.
And that's when real growth happens. It's not about sudden breakthroughs, it's about the little choices you make every day that add up over time.
And speaking of habits, one thing that really helps is setting specific triggers for learning. For example, if you link your study time to something you already do daily, like reviewing vocabulary while drinking your morning coffee, it becomes second nature.
That's a great idea. Habit stacking like that makes it easier to stay consistent. Another trick is using rewards. When you give yourself something small after completing a study session, your brain starts associating learning with something positive.
Right. Because motivation can't always be relied on. Some days, you won't feel like learning at all. But if you have a system in place, you will keep going anyway.
And sometimes, it's about making learning fun. People often think studying has to be serious, but things like gamification using apps, challenges, or competitions can keep it engaging.
Absolutely. That's why apps like Duolingo are so popular. They turn learning into a game, and that makes you want to come back every day.
But even without apps, you can do this yourself. Give yourself challenges like learning 10 new words before lunch or explaining a concept to a friend.
Or even better, using what you've learned in real life. If you're learning a language, have conversations with native speakers. If it's a skill, find ways to apply it practically.
Yes, application is key. The more you use what you've learned, the more it sticks. That's why passive learning, just reading or watching videos, isn't enough. You have to actively engage with the material.
And another thing, reviewing is just as important as learning new things. People forget that if they don't go back and reinforce their knowledge, they lose it.
That's why spaced repetition works so well. Instead of cramming everything in one go, reviewing the same material at spaced intervals helps you retain it long term.
And that's the ultimate goal, right? Learning isn't just about gathering information, it's about making sure you remember and can use it when you need it.
Exactly. And speaking of remembering, another useful strategy is teaching someone else. When you explain a concept in your own words, you reinforce your understanding and identify gaps in your knowledge.
That's a great point. It's called the Prot-G effect. Teaching actually helps the teacher just as much, if not more, than the learner. Even if you don't have someone to teach, you can pretend to explain it out loud or write it down as if you were teaching someone.
That's why study groups can be so powerful. When you discuss topics with others, you get different perspectives and remember things better.
And another way to improve retention is storytelling. If you can connect what you're learning to a personal story or a real-world example, it becomes much easier to recall later.
Yes, that's why history teachers often tell stories instead of just listing dates. Our brains love narratives, it makes information stick.
And speaking of making things stick, using multiple senses while studying can help too. Some people retain information better when they write things down, while others benefit from listening to audio recordings.
That's why mixing up your study methods is a good idea. If you only read, try speaking aloud, drawing diagrams, or even using gestures while memorizing.
That's actually something actors do to memorize scripts. They move around while saying their lines to create a physical connection to the words.
That makes sense. Movement helps reinforce memory. Even something as simple as pacing while reviewing notes can make a difference.
And let's not forget about the power of association. Linking new information to something familiar helps your brain make connections, which improves recall.
Like using mnemonics or acronyms. It's so much easier to remember a list when you turn it into a fun phrase or a silly story.
Exactly. The more creative you get with associations, the easier it is to recall information when you need it.
Another thing that really helps is reviewing information at spaced intervals. Instead of cramming everything in one night, revisiting the material over days or weeks strengthens long-term retention.
Right, that's called spaced repetition. Our brains naturally forget things over time, so reviewing at strategic moments like after a day, then a few days later, then a week helps reinforce what we've learned.
That's why flashcard apps like Anki or Quizlet are so effective. They use an algorithm to show you difficult cards more frequently and the easier ones less often, so you're always reinforcing what needs the most attention.
Exactly. And speaking of strategies, another great way to enhance understanding is to relate what you're learning to real-life situations. When information has personal relevance, it becomes more meaningful and easier to remember.
That's true. Even when studying abstract subjects like math or science, trying to apply concepts to daily life makes a big difference. Like, instead of just memorizing a physics formula, thinking about how it applies to driving a car or sports makes it much clearer.
And let's not forget the power of asking questions. Instead of just passively reading, actively questioning the material, why something works, how it connects to other ideas engages your brain in deeper thinking.
Yeah, that's the essence of critical thinking. When you're curious and challenge what you're learning, it forces you to engage more deeply, which improves retention.
Another interesting technique is interleaving, mixing up subjects while studying instead of focusing on one thing for too long. It helps improve adaptability and problem solving.
Oh, like studying math for a bit, then switching to history, then going back to math. That prevents fatigue and keeps your brain more engaged.
Exactly. It also mirrors real-life problem solving. where you often have to switch between different skills. By training your brain this way, you become better at applying knowledge in various contexts.
And, of course, getting enough sleep is crucial. Sleep isn't just about resting, it helps consolidate everything you've learned during the day.
Definitely. There's research showing that information gets processed and stored in long-term memory during sleep. So pulling all-nighters might actually hurt your ability to retain knowledge in the long run.
That's why a well-rested brain always performs better than an exhausted one. No matter how much you study, if you're sleep-deprived, your ability to recall and think critically suffers.
And let's not forget proper nutrition and exercise. The brain needs fuel, and regular physical activity has been shown to boost cognitive function and memory.
So true, exercise increases blood flow to the brain, which improves focus and learning capacity. Even a short walk can make a big difference in mental clarity.
Exactly. Learning effectively isn't just about the time you put in, it's about optimizing your whole lifestyle to support focus, memory, and understanding.
Another key point is the importance of taking breaks. It might sound counterintuitive, but working for hours without rest can actually hinder productivity. The brain needs short breaks to stay sharp and avoid mental fatigue.
Definitely. The Pomodoro technique is a great example, working for 25 minutes, then taking a 5-minute break. It keeps your brain fresh and helps you stay focused over longer periods of time.
I've used that technique myself, and it really works. It's amazing how those short breaks can give you a second wind and help you focus when you return to the task.
And speaking of breaks, it's important to switch up your environment too. A change of scenery can help reset your mind and improve creativity. Sometimes a fresh perspective is all you need to solve a problem.
Yes, it's like when you're stuck on a puzzle and you take a step back, suddenly, things click into place. It's the same with studying. A new environment can stimulate different areas of the brain.
Absolutely. And Maya, one other thing that can make a huge difference is teaching what you've learned to someone else. It forces you to clarify your thoughts and fill in any gaps in your understanding.
Oh, I love that method. Explaining complex ideas in simple terms to someone else can reveal just how much you truly understand. And if you can't explain it clearly, you might need to revisit certain concepts.
That's a great point. Teaching is a great way to reinforce your own learning. It forces you to think critically and organize your thoughts logically.
It's also a great way to keep yourself accountable. If you're preparing to teach someone, you're more likely to stay on top of the material and keep reviewing it until you're confident.
Another benefit of teaching is that it strengthens your communication skills, which is essential for both personal and professional growth. Being able to break down complicated information for others is a valuable skill in any field.
Definitely, whether you're working in business, education, or any other industry, strong communication is key. The better you can explain things, the more influential you can be.
And to wrap it all up, let's not forget that every learner is different. What works for one person may not work for another. The key is to experiment with different techniques and find out what helps you retain information and stay motivated.
Exactly, learning is a personal journey. And while there are common strategies, it's essential to find what works best for you. The process is about trial, error, and finding your rhythm.
So true. And the most important part is staying committed to the process. Even when things get tough, progress might be slow, but every step forward is a step in the right direction.
One more thing to consider is how important it is to stay flexible in your learning process. Life often throws unexpected challenges at us, so being able to adjust your schedule or methods when necessary is a valuable skill.
I agree. Flexibility allows you to maintain momentum even when things don't go as planned. Sometimes, you need to be willing to shift your approach to keep moving forward.
Right, and sometimes the unexpected can lead to valuable discoveries. Being open to new methods, even ones you might not have considered before, can open up new avenues for growth and learning.
Exactly. Sometimes the best ideas come from thinking outside of your usual approach. Being open to change can keep things fresh and spark new ideas.
And that brings me to another key point: learning from mistakes. It's easy to feel discouraged when you make a mistake, but I think those moments are often the best learning opportunities.
Absolutely. Every mistake teaches us something valuable. Instead of seeing them as failures, we can reframe them as lessons that guide us on how to improve. The key is to not dwell on them, but to move forward with a clear lesson in mind.
That's so true. Mistakes are a part of the process. and they're often the stepping stones to success. The most successful people often share one common trait: resilience. They don't give up after setbacks, they keep going, learn from their mistakes, and improve.
And that's where perseverance comes into play. Even when it feels like you're not making progress, sticking to your learning routine will eventually pay off. Sometimes it's the consistency through tough moments that leads to the most rewarding breakthroughs.
Yes, and I think embracing that challenge can make the journey more rewarding. When you push through the difficult parts and finally get to the point where things click, it's incredibly satisfying. Exactly, Tom. It's about enjoying the journey, not just waiting for the destination. Each step forward, even the small ones, is progress. And as long as you're consistent and resilient, you'll keep improving.
Absolutely. It's the little wins that led to bigger success in the long run. So, keep showing up, stay flexible, and don't be afraid to learn from the mistakes along the way.
That's right. And remember, learning isn't a race, it's a marathon. Take your time, trust the process, and celebrate each milestone. The effort you put in today will pay off tomorrow.
Well said, Maya. I think that's the key takeaway. Stay consistent, be patient, and embrace the learning journey. You'll get there.
Absolutely. Thanks for the great conversation, Tom. And to our listeners, we hope you feel inspired to continue on your learning journey. Keep pushing, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember to enjoy the process. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.